Yo, what's up, people? Can you hear me? Already got the Beat Saber tunes happening. Hang on, let me change to the face. Removing emote. Yeah, I know. That's really not cool. Good evening. I love this song. How are you all doing? Rick, Serializing at Wolf, Archbishop, Aaron. Thank you, Sysop, everyone, for joining in as always. Always picture myself Beat Sabering to this. Is so much fun, this song did. Had a haircut. Yeah, I have had a haircut on Sunday. I ventured out and got rid of some of the locks. I was well and truly overdue. Yes, yes. Okay, so first order of the day. Tea. Has everyone got their tea? Hacking without tea is very uncivilized. Yeah, last stream was a much better one, wasn't it? Although I kind of like Nelson. I put him on the other side, so he won't actually clash with the microphone boom. So yeah. Ilya Pavkin, hello. Nice to see your name again. How's it going? Hey, Tom, Multi. Cool, where you had a last overdue. I didn't know what I would be. I think it's probably been 23 years. That's a long time, no haircut. All right, so we've all got our tea. I hope we've all got our tea. Hopefully you can hear me and you can still hear the background. I got a couple of little toys since we last met. One I had been planning to get hold of for quite some time. And this is the first time I played with it since actually being on stream. Ready? There's a light over there that's actually shining. Now, I don't know whether this is better or worse because you get to see more of my face. But I actually think it's better. It does light up and it looks a little bit better on camera. Stream Deck. Now, that's a very interesting question because I've actually had a Stream Deck for quite a while already. So I use that quite a bit. Need to see the sparkly shirt. That's a great point, actually. I don't have the sparkles on today. This is a grey merino wool shirt and it doesn't seem to sparkle like the other one does. Anyway, so here's the other thing that's kind of cool that I want to share. And you guys will find this funny, particularly given the last stream that we had. And some are already aware of this, but yeah, check it out. Who knows what this is? I'm going to show you. Camera needs a bit of color correction. I agree, it does. But I can't be bothered. Okay, so here we go. Ready? Got my pen, got my tablet. Come on. Oh, hang on. I've actually got to give focus to the virtual machine, otherwise nothing's going to happen. You ready? I don't even know what that was supposed to be, but it works. So hopefully this time when I'm actually drawing little diagrams like this, I can actually, use my hands instead of, oh no, how cool is that? I can handwrite, oh geez, can you imagine? Hang on. Can you imagine handwriting this stuff? Void. Oof. As you can see, I need practice. It's pretty terrible. But anyway, you get the idea, right? It was actually a little gift from somebody, but I think it's pretty cool. And so I'll just close that. All right. So enough's enough. I hope you all got your tea. Hope you're ready to go. I thought today it would be interesting for us to try and get file uploads and file downloads working. Behind the scenes, they actually use channels as well. So now that we sort of have the basic infrastructure in place for channelization, and we've got that other stuff working with TCP channels and process channels, to move away from the impending doom of handling things like impersonation, I thought we would try make another channel type and get file uploads and file downloads going, given that they are quite a a handy feature. You'll notice as well, I've been playing with my Visual Studio and virtual machine setup. I'm using a different shell now. I've gone to zprezzo instead of OMIZSH, and I've changed my fonts, playing with my fonts a little bit. So anyway, any questions at all about what we're going to do and why? Because I think at this point, we should just get stuck in. It's already 5 minutes into the stream, and I've literally done nothing other than turn on gadgets in front of everyone. Dong Ding Oolong is the tea of choice this evening. All right, let's get downloads working. So, for those who don't know, the reason why you would have a sort of file handle stream behind the scenes implemented as channels is because you want to be able to stream content back and forth. You might want to be able to open a file handle in your remote Meterpreter session and then slowly but surely drip feed it information. And so that's part of the reason why files in certain contexts are actually handled as channels. Plus, when you're downloading stuff, you might need to sort of re-download bits, or like I mentioned, I think either on Stream Last or somewhere on Discord, I said that MSF supports the notion of basically reducing the size of a download packet in high latency environments. High latency environments, so that the chances of packets actually making it down and successfully downloading something increases. High level random question: how does file transfer get shared or not with other traffic once you make a channel? Well, what you're doing behind the scenes is you're effectively just saying we have a channel of a certain type, and that type is going to be file system related, and you continually make channel read calls while asking for more content until you get like an end of file style thing going on. And we'll see how that works in just a minute, because we'll do what we did before, and we'll look at the messages that come in when you actually attempt to download something, and we're basically going to backfill it while looking at what the implementation in the native version does behind the scenes. So yeah, you create a channel and you should be able to read file content as per the request. Okay? All right, so let's do that. Let's kick off a shell. Sessions -1. So here we should see, I don't know whether there's a download file system command. Here we go. So there is a download, and there should be an upload as well. Behind the scenes, the edit command will download the file first. And exactly. It is a dedicated channel for that one file handle. Exactly, Tom. So yeah, the download, the edit, the upload. I think all of those things all use the same mechanism. Cat actually would probably do the same thing. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, so let's go and have a look at what's in here. Let's go download this thing. And then behind the scenes in our output window, we should see a message for I would assume some kind of channel open that's related to file system calls. So let's see what that does. Okay, core channel open, standard API FS file. Okay, so that's pretty easy because we've got the mechanism built in for all of this stuff, haven't we? So we need to be able to create a channel TCP FS file. Unable to create type, standard API FS file. All right, so in do we have a standard API FS? We don't have any file system related. Oh yeah, we do. File system.cs. Why is that not called standard API? Oh, because it's, yeah, okay, that makes sense. So the question then is, do we wire the channelization part of this inside here, like we would do elsewhere, or do we put it in its own dedicated channel type? I'm thinking we do what we do before and create a new, actually let's go add new item. Okay, so what are we going to call this? We should just call it it's effectively a file channel, right? or a file handle channel. What do you guys think? File descriptor channel? I want something that's a little more specific. It does FS file, so well, maybe we'll just call it file channel for now, and we'll go from there. All right, so let's get rid of all of that. We'll go public class file channel. We know it's a core channel, so let's implement those things. What else do we need to implement to keep this happy? Generate overrides, generate constructor. Okay, so we do need a constructor. Got about that. Now, the way that we would open these files will vary, I guess, depending on how those files need to be open. Like some of them will be read, some of them will be write, some of them will be read, write, blah, blah. So what we'll do though is we'll use the standard mechanism that we've been using for all of the channel things, and we'll have a private constructor. And we'll have to have a public static file channel. That's cool. I don't know, we'll call it create for now. Now behind the scenes when we do, before we continue, let's always add existing item, standard API channel, file channel, and we'll add that as a link. Make sure that we always keep things across the two versions and parity. Okay, so where do we go again? Core channel create. Oh no, open. Channel open. Okay, so channel right, close. Where do we do the registration again? Where are we? Register channel creator. Here we go. And so this is in the standard API plugin. All right, so we're going to do the same thing here. We'll go standard API. It was FS file, wasn't it? This is a great song as well. Channel dot file channel dot create. Now what does this expect again? Need one of these. Picture. Okay. So here's where we're going to need to examine what these things actually do require. So we'll go return null. And we'll save and we'll build. You guys are quiet tonight. Maybe I should write some more on the whiteboard. Get people excited. Okay. So with that done, we'll go back into our sessions, -1. And let's download that again. Did you change the font? Yes, I did. I did change the font in Visual Studio. Okay, so let's have a quick squiz. Where's the output window? Where's the intermediate window gone? I've lost my... Oh, here it is. Here it is. All right. So the request has core channel open. We have 7 TLDs. That's interesting, isn't it? So we've got core channel open, request ID, FS file, channel class, flags, standard API, file mode. Ooh, RBB. This is interesting. Stream on phone is not great for comments. OJ is losing his Windows. Losing something, that's for sure. So it's interesting to see that standard API file mode like that, hey? Right, before we continue, I'm going to have a quick squiz at the Metasploit payloads directory folder. Yeah, what's with RBV? That's a little bit strange, isn't it? Standard API FS file. Right, so that means we're going to be using this. Okay. All right, let's see what it's doing. It's looking at the mode and path. And it's got this file context, which I assume, yeah, there we go. Look at that. There's a bunch of file-related stuff. Clearly touches all of the things, so that makes perfect sense. Read binary as bytes. Yeah, that's probably what it means, hey. So there's some channelization stuff going on, which, as I said, is to be expected. Add the channel identifier to the response. Transmit response. So here we can see it's not doing anything with the waitables, which actually makes a lot of sense because it's a file. So we get to implement all of these bits and pieces, which is interesting. So we need to implement write, close, read, EOF, seek, and tell. Now, where is this mode? Okay, so by default, we open as reading in binary mode or bytes. FS open. Obviously, this is like a specific version of like a file system opening capability because of, I'm guessing there's some mapping of these modes somewhere, which we're probably going to need to handle. Yeah. All right. This doesn't look too bad. But in order to create, we need mode and file path. There's file path in here? Oh yeah, there it is. Stop. Let me just take a copy of these. Take a copy of that. We'll stick it in Notepad so that we've got it handy. Because when I do this, the immediate window will go away. Righto. Path. We'll call it file path, make it look legit. We have request.try get TLV value as string. So that hangs off the TLVs, doesn't it? So let's include the extensions. And we are going to get, what is it? File path, standard API file path. Stdappy file path. Okay, so we're also going to have mode, and the mode, oh, we've got a new follower, Emil S. Thank you for the follow. It's very nice to have you on board. This is going to be file mode. Now, was it a string? I don't think it was a string, was it? Mode was a string, yes. Interesting. So we've got the path and the mode. We need the class and flags don't appear to be used, do they? Let's have a quick squiz. Path and mode. Add transmit response. Yep, no idea what the story is there because clearly the there we go, there's flags. Flags. I missed it. What's the second B? Me too, mate. And in a minute when we go through to implement, we'll see what this FS fopen does, and we will map it, figure it out. I'm trying to see where the flags are used, but I'm not. Create pool. Yeah, okay. I think this is probably something we're going to have to implement sort of across the notion of channels at some point. But for now, I'm just going to ignore it. Actually, before I go ahead and ignore it, let's make sure that we know what this mode thing does. I don't know where that's going to be implemented, so let's search for it. Here it is. Okay, so what do we do? Path and mode. Oh, this is interesting. So it maps directly to this WF open function. Didn't know this was a thing. Yeah, exactly. I agree. Serializing, I absolutely agree. Okay, so here's what there's clearly a mode. Kind of access that's enabled. Mapping this to .NET is going to be fun. We have another follower, Kuchain. Thank you for the follow. It's very kind. Supports Unicode file streams, open Unicode pass CCS flag that specifies the desired encoding to open. Okay, so what do we got here? Opens for reading. We know R is for reading and W is for writing. Writing is appending. Opens for both reading and writing. File must exist. Opens an empty file for both reading and writing. If the file exists, the contents are destroyed. Opens for reading and appending. Yep, so that's nothing particularly special. Open binary. Translation involved carriage return and line feed characters suppressed. I think we're going to have to do a manual mapping exercise here. Looks like is there more? Enable the commit flag. And reset the commit flag. I can't see another B. Where's the other B? Valid characters for the mode string. Oh, binary. I can't see the need for a second B. If you're using RB mode, you do not have to port your code. You can expect to read most of the life. Okay, so that's okay. Where does the double B come from? Why do you need double B? It's clearly binary. We've got one B, but double B? Smash, I didn't even know you were on, mate. Good to see you. Okay, yeah, right. The redundant B still works on Linux. So, oh crap, I forgot I just opened this on the host. Just bear with me. I'll bring it up in the browser on stream. Hey, Bitwise. How you going, mate? Yeah, so according to this, RBB, WBB, ABB no longer work on Windows according to this. But yeah. Very interesting, hey? Glad I'm not the only... Hey, Pseudoset. The only person that spends a shitload of time staring at MSDN. Yeah, there is absolutely a lot of that when you're doing this kind of thing, my friend. You are not alone. Okay, well, with that in mind, I think we are going to have to map from one to the other because .NET doesn't have, from my understanding, it doesn't have those modes. So let's have a think. Let's go system.io.file. Let's have a think. We're going to have to use the generic open. So we can specify the path, the mode, and the access. Access is an interesting one, isn't it, in this context, given that we're not actually specifying what level of access that we want to have. Kind of access, isn't it? Okay, so if we did this, file mode, see the file mode, append, create new, open, or truncate. Nothing here actually says whether or not we're going to be writing as binary or text, does it? So, yeah, that's interesting. Mode, access, and share. Okay, so I really don't want to have to manually map these. That's pretty gross. Probably hidden. Yeah, maybe. Okay, so that's going to be read versus read, write, etc. And what was the third one? File share. Yeah, so we don't even provide this notion of abstraction, really. So I would assume that this is a mask. Read is one, read write is... Well, yeah, it's a mask. So the question is, I mean, do we come up with our own mappings for when someone is reading, then we're happy for other people to read. If someone's writing, we're not going to share. It's pretty rough, isn't it? We basically need to take our string of characters that might be coming through and, yeah, emulating what the documentation says, which is I'm not a huge fan of, I'm not going to lie. But I'm thinking it's pretty likely that we're only going to see fairly typical things like reading bytes writing bytes and possibly appending bytes. So what we might do is even just have a check against those strings to see what's being passed in. What do you guys think? Tom, I don't think so. If I was implementing this, it would all be binary, except for the fact that there is a call. Yeah, check this. I reckon when we run this, if we go sessions -1, and instead of download, we try to edit, what happens? Let's see what the mode is. See, file mode is still, hang on, I haven't even looked at it yet. Request. File mode is still RBB. It's exactly the same thing. So it is literally doing a download. So yeah, maybe we literally only have to care about read and write. All right, so let's do this. File mode. Should we do it in here, or should we be doing it elsewhere? Yeah, no, we should probably do it in here. We'll have a little helper. Let's have a little helper. Private static file. Oh, hang on. No, because file access and file mode and file share will all vary. Yeah, so we can't just return a single. All right, so let's go default file mode. We're going to have file access. Are we doing the same? And then file share. So I think we're just going to have to try and apply our own logic here. And same for cat. That's a good question, Smash. Should we do cat? Let's do cat. I would have thought that it would be the same for both. Same. Yep, it's exactly the same. Interesting, huh? Is that another follower I see? Karastift69 has followed. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Right, so what I'm just going to do is a basic switch statement across these strings for now. So in mode, here's the question. Should we check for RB and RBB? WB and WBB? AB and ABB? I mean, I'm going to assume that for the most part, I mean, if we open in just read or write, is that just plain text? I would assume that it is. All right, so if we do this and we go case, if someone just put read, then that would be the same as, wouldn't be the same as read binary, would it? Well, the thing is, whether we're reading bytes or text at this point, the abstraction is effectively the same, isn't it? Smash, that's not funny. Ignore the fact that I laughed at it. Alright, so let's go file mode. In this case, file mode is going to be, we're reading, so we're going to go open, aren't we? File access is going to be, well, we're only reading, and then file share. What should we set the file share to? Are we going to allow them to write at the same time? I would say that people are allowed to read at the same time. What do you guys think? Bearing in mind, like, we're trying to be a little surreptitious here, and we shouldn't be blocking, but we just don't want the bytes to change underneath us while we're doing it. Hey? Why would you have default operations for file access commands? That just sounds dumb to me. Well, we all have our opinions. But yes, mind you, I'm not quite sure I understand your question. Why would you have default operations? Do you mean for this particular variable, or do you mean... I mean, what we could do is ignore file sharing altogether and use the API where we don't pass it in and just let whatever it is do its magic behind the scenes. That probably makes a little bit more sense, doesn't it? Let's do that. I assume that we're going to end up with WBB as well, at which point we'll need file mode. So WBB is that create new? I assume that it is. Let's look at the docs again. So when we write, creates an empty file for writing. If the given exists, the contents are destroyed. Okay, so maybe we need to create, specifies operating system to create a new file. If it exists, it'll be overwritten. That's what we want. File access. We'll make that right. Yeah? The dubstep file mode. Why is this whinging at me? Cannot fall through. Oh, I've got to type break, that's why. C# doesn't like fall throughs. Okay, so what other cases are we realistically going to see here? Do you think we're ever going to see appends? We should cater for it just in case. Append file mode. Append. And this would be right. Now, what we should probably do is make sure that we fail harshly in other cases. But for now, all I'm going to do is, I don't think I need a return statement. I'm just going to do that. Righto. Now with those in mind, I should be able to create a file handle and pass that down to the channel, right? So we should be able to go var file equals file.open. Let's go, what do we got? File path. We should probably check to see if things exist, but the error code should kind of magically fail in that case, right? Then that begs the question, should we be adding this here? We should, shouldn't we? We should be going response dot add TLV type. What does the channel manager do when we try to create channel open success core channel unable to create type? We end up with call not implemented here. Let's leave it at that. We don't need to do anything else. Did you guys notice the this has got the fun little widgets in here, doesn't equals. So when you, it's cool, hey. Don't usually like that kind of font, but all right. Does edit hold a read write handle open all the time? Well, it only opens a read. It's asking for RBB, right? It didn't ask for R plus or W plus. So yeah, I don't know. System.diagnostics.debug.write line unable to handle file mode. Let's do this so that we can actually see something get spat out while we're debugging, if we see something. I've got to do string format, don't I? String format. And we're going to go file mode. No, mode. Okay. Not file mode, we need file mode and file access. Now that could barf, right? I'm assuming this thing could .NET file.open. I'm assuming this is going to throw exceptions if things don't exist. Okay, so argument out of range, mode specified an invalid value. Mode is create and specified files. Oh no, that's different. Oh, here we go. Argument exception. Path is 0 length. Operates on my space. Directory not found exception, argument and range exception. We should just catch the exceptions and return null, because I think we could spend a lot of time trying to map meaning when really at the other end all we do is render the error message to the user anyway. Oops. Okay, catch all the things, Pokemon pattern. Okay, so if that's opening, we should be able to go return new file channel. We'll give it the channel manager, which we have been given already, and we'll pass in the file. So this should be a file which we can initialize like so. Cannot declare a variable of static type file. I can't? What does this return? A file stream. Whoops. Gotta catch them all, exactly. File stream. Oops, stream. Okay. Alright, so then behind the scenes we should be able to just handle things like writes and reads. Yeah? Okay. Now that means we're probably going to have to redefine what this core channel capability contains, because we want to be able to handle the notion of reads. So let's see what the read actually does, because we haven't actually implemented any like core channel read or write. Read functionality, have we? So read. We're going to get the request and the response. Question here is, we don't actually need to give... Oh yeah, out int bytes read is probably useful, because then we can use that mechanism, I would assume, to pass back the amount that was... Oh, actually no, that wouldn't make sense either, because we know based on the amount of data that we're sending how many bytes have been read. Yeah. Barney's in. Hey Barney. Let's see what this does. Now we're gonna have to go and force these other implement abstract. So down the bottom here we've got this read, which doesn't make any sense in the context of a process channel. So we're just going to do nothing other than return packet result call not implement. I'm going to do that for all of the channels that we've got right now. Where's the right? Do that there, and we'll do the same for the server channel. A bit messy, hey, I should tidy this code up, it's not great. Okay, so then back under our file channel, now when we're reading and writing, we may attempt to write to a channel that's only readable. We might have a case where we're reading from a channel that's only writable, in which case exceptions are probably going to get thrown, so we'll need to catch those and return those as well. Anthony Pereira 88, thank you for the follow, very kind. Okay. Now actually I'm going to leave the write alone at the moment, so let's do our own version and go, whoops. Packet result dot. There's just enough differences with this Vim plugin that throw me a little bit as compared to the old one. Bytes written equals 0. Let's just do that for now. Okay, so when we read, I assume we're going to be given a bunch of stuff. Now, actually, we need to handle the core channel read inside the channel manager, which is going to handle core channel read. This dot channel read. Okay, so we're going to copy pretty much verbatim each of these functions. Now, what I can probably do, given how similar these things are, is wrap these things up so that we can kind of abstract the middle. We can use what non-functional programmers refer to as the hole in the middle pattern to try and at least reduce what we're seeing as far as code repetition is concerned. What functional programmers would refer to as higher order functions. If anyone's familiar with such things. Are there any functional programmers in the room? Old sound! Oh, here you go. As soon as I say, are there any functional programmers in the room? Old sound decides to raise his voice. Sup, Alvaro? It's nice to see you again, mate. Yeah, FP programmer. Yo! Yo! So yeah, I'll probably look to refactor this in a minute and use some higher order functions, because everyone loves a good higher order function. So what I'm going to do is sort of wrap most of this stuff up into a function that we can use as a helper, and we'll just use actions to handle the guts of how these things work. And I think that would work quite nicely. But for now, we're going to do what most Java programmers do and copy and paste. Channel.read. So let's do this. Channel.read. Actually, we needed to do the same as we did with write, hey? Where is it? Channel.write. So yeah, something similar to this. Channel.read. I don't think we're going to need to worry about how many bytes have been read. I think the length can be inferred. So type it on Google as functional C#. There you go. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to breakpoint on channel open and make sure that things do the things that we want done. So our file channel should get invoked here. And then we'll follow through, because I would assume that once we've got that open and we've got a channel identifier that we return and blah, 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 then we'll be in a position to start reading and writing information. And what I want to see is what's coming in versus what's going out. But before we do that, actually, it's probably worth quickly looking at... Let's quickly go down here. File channel read. Let's just quickly see what this does. Can go up here and reuse this now. No, it's in the same. It's in the same. So what are we doing? We literally take out. Buffer size read. Okay. Right, so there is an abstraction in place here. File channel read will get called, and it will ask for you to fill up a buffer of a certain size and return how many bytes were actually read. Okay, so we are going to have to pass in bytes read. So we'll do that too, just to make things consistent. Which means we can undo those two things. File channel. Deeper. Bytes read. Yeah, that's right. That's fair enough. If there is an abstraction in place like this, then they need to be sort of shuffled in different things, different ways. Then we should follow the same thing. Okay. What we need to do quickly though is given that we've got this chops.read, let's find out where that's invoked, because somewhere in this code base that's going to get invoked. Okay, so what do we got? Hang on a minute. I actually want the legit dot. Don't try and be smart. Okay, so maybe I need to use the pointer notation. Alright, fine. Core channel read. Here we go. Okay, so might be something going on there. Remote request core channel read, that's what we're looking for. This is, I believe, what will be invoked, and that's, here we go, that's what we want to see. Okay, so we get the length, so that tells us how many bytes we want. ID is a no-brainer. We allocate a buffer for that. We get the class to make sure it's either buffered or pooled. And here we call pool.read. The channel has a read handler, then read and tell it to fill up our temporary buffer, at which point, if the channel should operate synchronously, add the data to the response. If the channel data is meant to be compressed, compress it. So there's a few things here that we will need to add. But this is interesting, right? Because what this is saying is that when we read information, that the abstraction should handle whether or not those things should be handled synchronously or not. Hey, Gombos. So yeah, I think what we're going to need to do, and I'm not going to do it right now, I'll do this as a refactor later on, is push some more of the logic for reading and writing to and from channels up into the sort of channel manager, and leave just as much of the implementation specifics in the individual channels. So for example, this channel flag synchronous thing, we don't want to implement that in every single channel when we're doing a read or a write. We want that to be abstracted. But either way, you can see here the number of bytes read is specified separately. Yeah, okay. All right, well, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so we need a, what is it, an int. Int, or we should say var bytes read equals default int to stay consistent. Okay, read. No overload for read takes 3 arguments. You are correct, because we need to change our interface. Out int bytes read. This will change. There is no doubt that that will change. TCP server channel, we're going to do the same. I'm going to get rid of that comment for now. Bytes read. Out int bytes read. Because what we'll probably end up doing is returning the whole buffer instead of just the number of bytes. And we won't actually delegate the responsibility of writing the data directly to the packet inside these overloads. This gives me so many netty vibes. I haven't played with Netty that much, if at all, to be honest. But I've poked at it from a security standpoint a couple of times, which has been fun. But yeah, this is code duplication, which I will end up changing. Because what I think makes more sense is to return the buffer that has been read, and so the management of that buffer can be delegated to the caller. Ooh, past fruit company, yes. Yes. I imagine, ooh, look at this, we've missed this. Dot try get TLV, we should fix this while we're here, value as raw. There we go. This is that. Okay, so what happens when we build that? What do we get? Build succeeded. Interesting. Okay, so excuse me. See, we're sort of doing the right thing here, right? We're trying to get the channel data out. Oh no, process channel. See, we're reading the data out of the packet here, and we probably shouldn't. The notion of reading and writing should really be dealing with blocks of data rather than sending the packet. So I will change that. But for now, let's just quickly get this going, and then we'll do a little refactor jobby afterwards. Okay, so if we do I assume we're going to see a file read happen, which is why I wanted that wiring in place. So rather than download, we'll just call we'll call download. Cat edit download. Okay, download. So file path is, we should open up the locals. File path test console net35. I know that's probably hard for you guys to see. And I'm ignoring the flags at the moment, which I really shouldn't do, but we'll fix that later on as well. Okay, can we open that? Yes, we can. So we have a file stream now, and that works. Let's let that run. I'm assuming this is going to fail because of a timeout. Okay, so let's just get rid of this, and we will restart. Do the same thing. Now what do we get? We should get a channel read. Here we go. So we try and read from that channel. And inside our request, what do we see? We got the length, the ID, core channel read, that's obvious. And that's about it. So really what we're saying is we want that many bytes, which isn't that difficult, right? Okay, so to use the same thing as the, sorry, where are we? TCP, here we go. It'll be in here when we write a packet. Channel data, I assume, is what we're going to be writing to. Okay, so when we read, we'll be creating. So this .filestream.read. We'll give it a buffer in just a second. At buffer, we're going to start at offset 0 and however many bytes. Okay, so let's go. We'll call it bytes to read to make it very clear. Equals request dot TLVs dot try get TLV value as dword TLV type dot, I assume it's length, given that that's what we're using elsewhere. And then what we can do is go buffer equals new byte array. Again, we're assuming bytes, given that all we're doing with file modes is handling bytes. Bytes to read, file stream read buffer, buffer length. Okay, so that's going to return, I assume, the amount of bytes. There we go. So bytes read equals that. That would make sense, wouldn't it? So here's why I'm thinking it would make more sense to abstract this, because we're kind of returning bytes read and we're returning the buffer in different ways. We're returning bytes read through the interface, but we are returning the content in the packet, which I don't think makes a lot of sense. So let's just get it working and we'll fix it from there. Success. Maybe we should only return that if the bytes read is non-zero. If bytes read is greater than 0, then indicate that we are doing a thing correctly. Otherwise, we'll return. Let's go with bad arguments. We're going to have to do a try catch in here shortly anyway to make sure that we catch any errors. But we need to add the response to the packet. The data to the response packet, sorry. So response.add TLV type dot channel data. Juan Torres, thank you for the follow. Buffer. Now this is interesting. We should pass in the size as well, right? Because we don't want to pass in too much information. What happens, like we could say we want to read 1024 bytes, but we only read 10. So we only want to add 10 of those bytes rather than a large buffer of junk. Okay. Any questions? Guessing not. So you should do this. Makes it a little quicker. Okay. Ooh. System cannot find the file specified. What? What did I do? I did something stupid. -C is that's not what I wanted. It's capital C. Pretty sure it's capital C. There we go. Okay, here we go. Channel read. Should be able to read data from the channel. Bytes to read says 10K. Alright, so how many did we read? A few. So that's going to call it again. Ooh. Why is it closing? Is it because it broke? Yeah. Okay, so here this time, let's restart that. I'm going to remove the read. And I'm just going to let it loop because I would assume that it's going to do all the bits and pieces that we need it to do. The question here though is, like I should be for the channel manager, just make sure that, there we go, length and bytes are being passed in. Okay. So that makes sense. Alright, let's quickly kick that off again. Get rid of the breakpoints and let's just see if this actually works. Looked like it may well have done its thing. What if we did something a little... we still need to handle the closing. Alright, so when we close this file, we need to go file stream dot close. Should be that simple, right? Close the current stream and releases any resources. There we go. Okay, so if we in here, Metasploit framework, file test console. There you go, looks like it did its thing. That's pretty cool. Yes. Okay, let's do this. Open containing folder. Let's take a copy of that and we will drop it in Meterpreter bin debug. Hang on, no, that's not where we are, is it? Meterpreter test console net bin debug. Test console bin debug. Let's drop it in here. So we've got file channel.cs in here. We're finally within the copy between VMs. No, that's all in the one VM. All right, so if we did cat file channel.cs, what happened there? I would have thought that that would just work perfectly. Am I incorrect? Isn't that interesting? So our file channel doesn't seem to be being used. Hang on a sec. Maybe it's because it can't even open the thing to begin with. Channel manager, pack channel open, channel open. Let's try this again. Yep, we should be able to read. Okay, so it should work. That is fascinating. So what is it that it's for some reason not doing? Where's the output? Open. I am confused. I don't know why we're not getting any further packet requests coming through. Ah, okay, hang on. Thread has exited with bar. It says open, EOF, and close. I don't know why I'm confused by this, but so this standard FS API stat, I assume that's doing, I mean, we've already implemented that, right? Does cat actually work in bog standard Meterp? Yes, it does. But let's do something else. Okay, so that clearly worked. There was a read in there. So we can see it. Channel write operation failed. So I assume that does a full download and then it does a full upload. So we haven't supported uploads yet. So you can see it does core channel open, write channel close. So the write didn't actually work. But that's okay because we can do that. We can do that pretty easily, right? Let's quickly change that so that this is actually implemented, and then we'll go through our little refactoring exercise, and then we'll check out why cat's actually not working. I'm pretty sure it does work smash. It is something that I've used excessively in the past. But yeah, let's see what happens. Okay, so right. So we want request.tlvs.try get value as raw TLV type channel data, and then we should be able to do this. This.filestream.write data 0. I assume that we're going to be given the length at the same time, right? Is that what it's... We're probably going to get a length parameter as well, I would say, but we'll check this for sure. What happens? Should I be smart enough to go or give us the minimum amount of data and bytes to write to make sure that, you know, we don't do anything silly? But no. Let's just do that. Array offset int count. Oh, that shouldn't be raw. That should be dword. That's why that's whinging. Cannot implicitly convert type void to an int. Ah, okay. So I guess bytes written is going to end up being bytes to write if things don't fail. Bytes written equals bytes to write. And then we'll handle the case where things don't go very well. So we should do this. Let's try and write. And if something goes wrong, we will bytes written equals 0. And here we will return packet result.success. So yeah, we will abstract this a little bit, I think. It's kind of bold. We'll just exception if it can't write every single byte. Yeah, it is kind of bold, I agree. But at this point, it's kind of difficult to see that you would behave any other way. I mean, if you're running out of disk space, I think you're going to have issues anyway. So if you fail to write 1 byte for any reason, it's the same as not being able to write any bytes as far as the pen tester is concerned, I would argue. Sessions. Oh, I wonder what happens when you do session C and you call edit. Probably didn't even work, eh? Let's do that again. Huh? So all of a sudden this is not... Oh, hang on. Did I somehow blast it away? No, I didn't. It's as if something... Look at that. Let's just fire that up again. Blockhouse hasn't opened yet. I can vouch for that. Just chatting to me old mate Rickster today about this. Oh, come on, where are you? Isn't this interesting? This looks really different. Oh, there we go. It did actually... Ah, so something changed. Data. How many bytes did we get? File stream, right. Success. And that should be... Okay, so that means if we look at the content of this now, it should be a mess. There you go. So the edit function did work. It's interesting that the reading didn't work. Maybe if I do it again. Okay, so we do have the content now. So maybe what I did before was just completely truncate it somehow. So, who have we got here? Action bot. Send you my home wall picture tomorrow. Yeah, sweet. Keen to see that, mate. That's awesome. So we have reading and writing now working. Which means we should be able to cat stuff if that was working. And now that Smash has called me out on that and I had a bit of confidence, I'm actually doubting myself now. So, yeah, that's it's not good. Action bot. This is what we are currently doing. And specifically, right now, what we are doing is... we are implementing file uploads and file downloads. So the real question now is, if I do this, let's have a squeeze. So if we're here, yeah, so we are in here. Let's do, let's upload gem file. See what it does. Oof. Gem file. Okay, so that is 1349 bytes. This is minus 1 bytes of that many. That's pretty solid, isn't it? So does that mean we have a gem file sitting in here? Yes, we do. And what have we got? 1349 bytes. Look at that. Can you hack into the bank and give me some money? I pay you back. I assume you're joking. And by that, what I actually mean is, the answer to that is yes, I'm definitely joking. What is this? Look at this, core channel tell. Isn't that interesting? Also, we do need to handle a couple of other cases that we haven't handled just yet. So what happens when we get EOF? And given that tell is being invoked, we need to figure out exactly what that means. So let's have a quick squiz at, again, what the implementation of this thing does. And it's not in here, so let's go find it. It's actually in file.c, of course it is. So what are we doing here? ftell. Is that an actual... Yeah, it is, isn't it? ftell. ftell is a library function. Returns the current value of the position indicator of the stream. Okay, so that's super easy to implement. I wonder if it makes more sense to put some kind of interface related bits and pieces in place that allow us to determine on the fly whether something is tellable. I don't think it is, to be perfectly frank, and I don't think it's worth the engineering effort to try and make that happen. So what we'll do is, again, we're going to go to the sort of base channel class and we'll expose this tell function in the same way. Now, actually, before we do that, let's try not to cross my streams. Public. See, I forced this to be abstract, which I probably shouldn't do. I should probably make each one of these optional. Let's just do this. I'm gonna make this one virtual. All right, let's make this virtual, and instead we're gonna call it tell, like so. And I think I'm going to do this with the other ones as well. I'm going to go return packet result dot call not implemented. Let's do that because I think that makes the most sense. Packet result dot call not implemented. Virtual. Bytes written equals 0, and not actually force anything to overload these functions unless they are actually used. I think close is a different story. Bytes red equals 0. This is another great Beat Saber song. Packet result dot. Do, 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 do. Hang on, that shouldn't have succeeded. I was expecting to see some errors. This is a great song. Do you mean to overload or override? I didn't think overload was a keyword. Alright, so file should have both. Now we need to... I didn't think overload's not a thing. Because overloading you can just do whatever, no keyword. Yeah. No, I would I'm quite happy to leave it as is with overrides. Turn packet result dot success, but we should do this only in cases where we are able to read. So this dot file stream dot hang on, where are we? Position gets or sets the current position of the stream. Now, does that result? Yeah, we'll get an exception if you can't actually do that. So let's play Pokemon again. Are there any languages that I should know other than C where you can't overload? There's a shitload. Because like overload is a very specific term. And part of the reason why overloading in C isn't a thing is because C is a procedural language. It doesn't have the notion of objects and an object hierarchy that you can overload, right? Python, I don't think, has the notion of overloading in the typical OO sense. Is that right? Oh yeah, Python. There you go. Serializing in Smash, I've already said the same. Invalid function already exists. We'll call that bad arguments for now, but again, we should probably change that. Righto, so we're going to do response.add TLV type dot. Oh, hang on, let's have a squiz at what this is doing here. Hang on, where is it? Ftell. What are we adding it to? Ah, we return it. Alright, so we're going to have to look for... Oh, what have I just done? Accidentally resized the window. Sorry about that. I should be here. Whoops. One day I'll learn C++, C#. Right. I really enjoyed that song. Where was I? I was trying to find things and then I fat fingered. That's right, I wanted to go up here and I wanted to go .tell, didn't I? Oh yeah, jeez. Let's look for it in C. I'd love to be able to exclude certain things. Here we go, channel tell. Hang on. It might be easier for me to open the source. In here. Just give me a second. 202. Hey AJ, just want to say thanks for your tweets earlier and thanks for the stream. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate your words, mate. Yeah, it's been a rough time and I'm going to have a very brief chat about that at the end of the stream, let people know how I'm feeling and check in on how you guys are feeling. But yeah, it's certainly a rough time, particularly for our friends over in the USA at the moment. It's not cool. It's very sad to see certain things happening on the other side of the planet. Okay, so here we go. If come on. Okay, so result equals. So we ask remote core channel tell find by ID. Lock it, and then we add seek pos. Okay. So I assume that's going to be the same for when seek is invoked at the other end. seek pos. And then we've got I assume we need to cast this to a... Well, this could be in a very large file. So, what is seek pos? It's a uint. Why is it a uint? Why isn't it a keyword? Ugh. Far out. Both hate and love that you can do that stuff. But your tweet, I have one minor comment on AJ. Agree with it all, but also comes with a lot of effort and luck. I would partly agree with that. But yeah, I don't know. It's very, very hard for me to say. Very mixed feelings. Oh, okay, so I want to specify a long, but I can't. I've got to specify an unsigned integer. This seek pos should not be a uint. That should not be a uint. Offset shouldn't be. None of those should be uints in this day and age. That's ridiculous. Not that you're going to be sort of interacting with massive files over this thing, but you know. Anyway. Let's see what happens when we get here, when we're doing the seek. Right. Now what do we do before to even get here? Sessions -1. Oh, was it upload? No? How did we get to the seek, folks? Was it the cat? Is that what did it? No? Edit? Ah! I haven't wired it in. That's because I'm an idiot. Channel manager. Okay. We need to do the same thing again. Alright, hole in the middle time. Okay, so we're going to have a private inline processing result. We're going to call it channel act. Right? And we're going to get a packet request. Packet response. Actually, no, we're not going to pass it that. We're going to give it a function that takes a channel and returns an inline processing result. Is that what we're looking for? We're going to have to give it something so that it can identify. Yeah, that's what we want. Oh no, we don't want an inline processing result. We want a packet result. Okay. Let's just call that action. It is going to need to know the request packet, but it's not going to need to worry about the response packet, right? Because we have that passed in. All right, so what we're going to do is this. I'm going to take a copy of this stuff, and if we find it, right? Ah, we need the response. We do need the response. All right, we do need the response. Ignore me. But that's okay. Yeah, we should leave that there. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go response.result equals action when we pass in the channel. Okay? So that means what we can do in channel read, we can go return channel act. This is our hole in the middle pattern, right? We're going to pass in the request, the response, and the channel. We will get back out And when we get that channel out, we're going to do this. And we will return see how we actually set the result in here? Yeah, we should just do this. Return that. Because the result is getting set here. Is that going to work? Local. Yeah, there we go. Local cannot be declared in the scope because that name is being used in an enclosed local scope to define a local parameter. Really? You sure about that? Because I'm pretty sure it's not. There we go. Okay, so everyone following, or are you talking about more interesting stuff with Smash? Alright, so we want to do this and return that. Oops, I did something silly. Yeah, so I can get rid of this stuff. Yeah, there we go. And we can put it in there like that. I mean, what we can probably do is put this in here. So I guess there we go. What are you whinging about? Variables captured, request response. Not all code paths return about. That's true, they don't. We need to return packet result success. Channel close. Need to do the same thing. So we can act on the channel. Like so. Did I somehow... that's right. So we can go channel.channel ID. Like so. And that should be okay. And return. Thanks, Smash, for answering all the questions for me. Let's put that inside here, and then we can get rid of these. Now this one's a little bit different because we need the bytes written first. So we can go var result equals that, and then a return result. Now when we fix this up, that interface will look much better. Channel open. Now channel open is a different story because we're actually creating the channel at this point. So anyway, hopefully you guys can see that this is a little bit nicer than what we had before, because all of the code for searching for the channel is in here, and it will only get invoked if the channel is found. By default, it'll say the call is not implemented. So if we can't find the channel and we can't invoke it, we'll just return this call not implemented. Now let's make sure we haven't broken anything. I don't think it will have broken anything. That's what regression testing is all about, right? How are we doing for time? It's 9:30. Uploads work. Download Test, what is it? Test console. What was it called? Here it is. Yeah, that seemed to work. Yeah. Given, sorry, I gotta zoom in. Given to me now, or meow, given to meow. Hello, greetings from Tasmania, local Australian. Nice to see you. That's a name I haven't seen before. Appreciate you jumping on stream. Tassie, Tasmania, what a beautiful part of the world. Okay, so that's a little bit nicer. Now, before we carry on, I do think that I want to change how these things look, because I just think it's not pleasant. Here. So when we write information, we should be saying to the channel, I would like you to write this information to whatever channel it is behind the scenes. And the same with reading. When it comes to encoding and handling things like being buffered and flags and all that sort of stuff, that should be abstracted. You flew over Tassie on the way to New Zealand? Where were you flying from? Lord Squirrel, greetings to you. Really need to come up with a better username. It's a struggle to read it. Is it supposed to be given to meow? Somewhere in Australia, Melbourne. I reckon you wouldn't have flown. Oh, you may have flown over Tas. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. Damn cat's always meowing at things. Yeah, okay. So maybe, so what I'd like to do is say if we're reading some data out of the whatever the channel is behind the scenes, I don't want to push the responsibility of buffering and encoding and all that sort of stuff down into each individual implementation. So maybe what we should do is, instead of making these yeah, let's do this. Bytes read. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do as an example for reading. So with reading, you can see channel read adds the length and channel ID and everything for you, which I don't really think is necessary. I should push the that information down into the channel itself, right? So reading from a channel, here we need to say, let's get the length out. So what does the file channel do when we read? Read. Bytes to read comes out here, right? So when we read, we'll get that out at this location here. Let's add that to the core extensions. We're not going to force them to return bytes read here. We're going to do this. Bytes read equals, we're going to say this dot, it's like we're going to rename things so that there's like an implementation specific thing that is virtual, but this bit is not. And that's going to be protected so that only objects in the class hierarchy that we currently live in are able to invoke those functions. All right. So let's call read, we'll call it read internal. And we're not going to pass in the request or the response. We are going to say, I want you to read bytes to read into the buffer. And you're going to return to me the bytes that you were able to read. I think that's, is that fair? Or should we say out bytes read and get them to return the result. That's probably going to make more sense if we do it this way. And then if we have instead a private, no, not private, sorry, protected virtual packet result read internal, where we give it, what was it? Give it the uint, because that returns a uint, yeah. Bytes to read. Actually, you know what? We don't even need to give it the number of bytes to read. We can just give it the buffer, because at this stage we can assume that the buffer is big enough to contain the stuff that we want. So we can go uint. Sorry. Let's go byte. Oh man, I can't type. Not thinking straight. Byte buffer out bytes read. Okay, so by default, we're going to go bytes read equals 0. That, oh man. Need to give this a type. Bytes read equals 0, and we're going to return this basically. Right? Bytes read is an int. Default int. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm just terrible at, well, you should know this by now. Okay, so by default, we don't have the capability to read. And the same will be for writing. Okay? But what we want to do is, we want to get the result here. And if the result doesn't equal packet result dot call not implemented, then actually, should it be that? We should basically check to see if it's successful. Really, that's what we should be doing. If it is successful, then we are always going to return the result. But here is where we need to go and add the information that we were adding up here. Response.add channel data buffer bytes read. Okay, and then here we can go to do handle channel. Has this got the flags in it? No, we don't. We should probably have flags associated with the channel here as well. Flags, etc. Because what we want to be able to do here is, if it's synchronous, then we want to shuffle the data back and forth. If it's buffered, then we don't. But for now, I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, so that means we need to do the same for reading as we do for writing. Now, if we have a look at the channel manager, you can see here, channel read is adding bytes read and the channel ID. Now, we're not going to be doing that anymore. What we can do instead is literally go and give it, yeah, that's what we want. Slowly but surely we'll whittle this down to something more manageable. So these two things need to go in the read, like so. Yeah? This dot channel ID. Okay. Now, it's kind of tempting to not put the channel ID thing here, because there are other cases where the channel ID is added further up. So let's remove that from here, and we will leave the channel ID thing here. But as far as length and whatnot is concerned, we won't And we can just do this. So we can prepare the response here and have it handled in here, which I think makes a bit more sense. Visual Studio error story time. Oh yeah, I don't know the line directive. Change the association between code and its source for making domain-specific languages. Oh yeah. Could trick the compiler into telling you that your compilation error is on the wrong line. I've seen that. That's pretty savage. Okay. So that's how I would expect to handle the reading. We should test that. Oh, did it actually build? Did I? Oh, jeez. Undo. Build. Of course not. Here we go. So, file channel. Now this is no longer public. This is going to be a protected. Protected override. Packet result read internal. Now read internal, we get what? Channel. One of these. Okay. We can get rid of that. And we can do that. Now because byte arrays should be done based on reference, when we fill this byte array, we can quite easily, we can just return, see how much cleaner that is. And so when implementation specific stuff comes in, such as like channels that are compressed, then we can put that back up in the, or sorry, back down in the base channel class, and the sort of reading / writing internal literally handles the cases where the data is being shuffled on whatever wire makes sense for that channel. Follower Meg B, and given to meow 2 follows. Thank you for the follows, people. Very much appreciated. Oh, it's starting to get cold. I'm getting cold. Welcome to Queensland. It's freezing. So what we want to do is the same thing for writes now, right? But before we do that, let's just make sure that the reading actually behaves. So we should be able to download again. And there it is. Test console. Okay, so that's a win. The reading is functioning as expected. So let's quickly refactor the writing in this sense. Now that's going to require us to refactor all of the bits and pieces. Yeah, Queensland is freezing. It did get down to the high teens today, Smash, I'll have you know. I'm wearing merino wool. What more do you want? We've got 15 minutes. Let's get this write refactor done, and that should well be enough. Okay, so we are not going to need any of those things. We are going to need a buffer. So this write is going to become write internal. And we're going to be given the data to write. And we're actually going to be given the number of bytes to write as well. Because those two things, again, we can't necessarily assume int bytes to write. So we can get rid of both of those by moving them up to the channel write function. Actually, let me just undo that. And let's quickly make this a protected virtual write internal. This is going to be a protected override right internal. And then we'll take these out. And we'll put them in here. We're going to do the same thing for handling of these things. We'll go var results equals this dot write internal. We're going to give it the data, the bytes to write, and bytes out, bytes written. So we're going to need a bytes written value is a default of int. And then if result equals, ooh, triple equals, look at that. Packet result.success. We're going to return the result regardless. Cannot be declared in this scope because, yes, that's right, we don't need this, do we? This bytes written is our responsibility to write. It's going to be length. Hey, we use length. Let's quickly look at what the channel manager does for writing. Interact, read, close, write. Yep. Length. So we add the length, which says that bytes have been written, and that is it. So in our handler, we don't need to do that, and we don't need to do that. We can even do it this way. Return. So we can add the channel identifier, and then just say go and do the writing thing. Okay, and that should function the same way. Now there are two other things that we're going to need to modify to make this work. Okay, so write, we're going to go protected override, write internal. That's going to be byte data int bytes to write. Now bytes written, so we don't need this. We only need data. Okay, so that should solve that problem. And then we should be able to do the same thing here. Protected override. Let's do the copy pasta. We don't need data because we've already been given it, and that should do us. Yeah, Smashery is someone that's gone the other way. I've gone from Canberra to Queensland. He went from Queensland to Canberra. Oh, just accidentally smashed my flapper for those climbers in the room. Got a sore finger. Okay, now we should probably make sure that the other channels work correctly. But at this stage, I'm not going to bother. Let's just make sure that edit functionality works as expected, and that'll handle cases with read writes. Let's open this containing folder. Process channel, standard API, and we'll test .NET 4 in a minute as well. So let's edit process channel and see what it does. Edit process channel.cs. Yay, it works. Okay. See, we've still got the tell things happening. But let's see what this does. Open with Notepad. Yay, it works. That's cool. Doing my first security subject at uni this semester. Hopefully one day I'll understand what you're developing. That's awesome, Meg. That is really awesome. Hey, look, you should seriously jump in the Discord channel because we all hang out there, and for whatever it is that you're studying, there are stacks of people who would be more than happy to help explain and understand, or at least provide moral support for your learning. So seriously, jump in Discord and get involved. There's lots of people in there who can provide advice, and they're good to connect with. Whereabouts are you based, Meg? What was I about to do? I was about to do something and I've forgotten. Oh, the tell thing. Yeah, that's right. Because we implemented tell, but we haven't wired it in via the channel manager yet. So we need basically the same thing here, right? We need a channel tell. Oops. Channel ID, we want to go channel.tell. Tell. Oops. That's it, wired in. Alright, let's see what the telling does now. We'll stick a breakpoint just here to make sure that it actually happens. Yeah, cool. Okay, if you'd love to join, you can find it here. Ah, you're in Melbourne. Fantastic. Another local. We have a few Melbourneites hanging around. There are a few. I won't name them because, you know, I seem to fail OPSEC related stuff on other people's behalves, and I've got to stop doing that. All right, let's edit that again and save, and let's have a look. Okay, we're in. I wonder why it asks for that multiple times. There you go. So we're responding in kind, so I assume that, you know, it's doing the right thing. But there's still two other things. What should EOF actually do? This is one of the things I'm a little bit confused about, because file channel EOF, what does this actually do? Ah, is it the EOF? Bingo. Okay, so that's cool. That makes way more sense. So we effectively need exactly the same thing as this, right? We need, hang on, paste. Oh, I'm running, that's why it's not working. So let's get rid of tell, and is EOF is basically what we're looking for. Is EOF. Now, in this particular sense, I'm not going to do it. Oh yeah, I probably should do it this way. So end of file is not something that necessarily works across all channel types. I mean, we're effectively dealing with a Boolean. That's kind of what we're doing here. Yeah, we should just make it consistent. We'll do it this way. All right, so channel.cs we need. Is FEOF, sorry, is end of file. And we will override that in cases where things actually make sense. And I would say that file channels probably the only places where it does make sense, because TCP streams don't make sense, process stuff don't make sense. So yeah, that's what we'll do. Let's take this. There's also going to be we've got to do seek as well. Is EOF. Is it just a Boolean that it's returning? Core channel EOF. Let's have a quick squiz of this. Core channel EOF. Remote request core channel. So what is it adding? Get channel class. Okay, so if it's a pullable and it's not supported. So that's what this means. So class just kind of imply the features, which probably means that we don't really need to care about the class because we have strongly typed objects to do that sort of thing. So we add just a plain old bool. Yeah. So where are we? We have this dot file stream dot is it's got to be like a have we reached the end of the file stream yet? Would that mean, is it like get the length of the stream in bytes? And do we then compare that? It's got to be like a, surely there's got to be a flag. End, read, end, write, dispose, flush, get hash code. Should probably use locking as well. Prevents other person from changing the file stream. Yeah, right. Seek, set length, write timeout. Could have sworn that the file stream had an EOF flag. But maybe it's just a matter of saying, have we reached the end? Which is the same as checking if the position is the same. That should make sense. What do you guys think? Kind of surprised that Meterpreter supports seek on channel. It's useful for files, but hard to deal with otherwise. Yeah, exactly. So if you try and seek on a TCP channel, chances are it's going to go, yeah, we don't support that, which by default, we actually are doing. And we'll be doing pretty much exactly the same thing here, right? So if we go, let's quickly whack this in. Question is, like, should we just do exception-based programming and let that go? Actually, you know what? I'm not going to do that now. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm not going to do that now. We have 2 minutes left of the stream to go, and we're at the point where I think we've made some really interesting and functional changes. We've got a little bit of refactoring done, tidying things up. Before we move on, let's just flick over to 4.0 and build this and run this. Just to make sure we are CLR 4. Okay. Edit. What was it called? Process channel.cs. Did I make a mistake? Oh yeah, no, it's in the wrong folder. We need to go to test console net 4 bin debug. There we go. Yeah, there we go. All right, nice. Okay, so does anyone have any questions about anything that we have implemented this evening? Hopefully we've all learned something. A few new faces, which is nice. We've just got a new follower, Norfolk Enclue. Thank you for the follow. That's very kind. A few new followers tonight, which is always nice. Man, I'm really cold. Hello. Thank you for jumping on stream just as we're about to finish up. Yes, you've just seen me on Twitter, you poor bugger. Well, I appreciate you jumping on and saying hello. And hopefully next time we'll be able to cross paths when the stream is still going. But yeah, we're just finishing up. I'm trying my best to keep these things to 2 hours at a time. And, you know, I think it wasn't last week, it was a week before, I did 4 hours and didn't get anywhere. It just goes to show that I should probably cap things at 2 hours, because I go ahead and push through to try and fix mistakes and it doesn't seem to work. So, Norfolk. Yes, so I archive everything on Vimeo and YouTube. And if you want to join us on Discord, then please do. So there are all the links that you can click on to join in on all the things. Smash, pack it in. But yeah, no, that was good. I think it was good to see the download, the upload, the cat, the edit, all that sort of stuff come for free now that we have the ability to do file streams. Obviously, on the next stream, we're going to make sure that we support things like seeking. I'm not really sure which parts of the framework allow for that right now, but I want to make sure that we support uploading of bigger files and that sort of thing, that things actually work nicely over different transports, because streaming stuff down via TCP is one thing, but doing it over HTTP is definitely another. Big data. So yeah, but anyway, please join in on Discord, on the chats. Let us know if you have any questions. Many thanks to all of the regulars who keep these streams very interesting, and behind the scenes are constantly answering questions for people without me paying attention. You're a big part of the reason why these seem to go so well. So thank you for that. Thanks to the new faces. It's lovely to see new faces. Thanks to the new follows. And you know, I know most of the people who are on stream right now are probably Australian, but the entire world, or anyone with an internet connection right now, is most likely across what's going on in the USA at the moment, which is really upsetting to see. And you know, I hope those people who are watching this that are over in the US are okay and looking after each other, and you know, not in any points of pain or have been hurt by whoever. It's just, yeah, a bit of a shit position to be in. So fingers crossed that things get resolved in a relatively peaceful way, and that you know, there's people who have been suffering for a long time get what they deserve, and we will be watching from afar with interest. So UK, the word Norfolk was a little bit of a giveaway, but yeah. So just seen some, yeah, that's right. A couple of, I think it was Channel 9 journos got they were recording at the front of the White House, and the cameraman got hit with a riot shield and punched in the face or something. I saw that earlier on. So yeah, you know, as media crews from around the world continue to get mistreated, I'm sure that the US is probably going to come under more fire from people as a result of it not doing a good job of protecting citizens from other countries. But yeah, it's a melting pot of shit over there for various reasons, and I'm genuinely concerned about how it's going to play out. But wherever you may be, stay safe. Thanks for your support. Stay in touch. And as always, be good to each other.